My name is Oluwademilade. The task given was to work as a group and create a chosen concept pitch of a group member, which ended up being Zena Harris's concept pitch. The concept of our game was to create a 3D version of Among Us, which will have a split screen multiplayer game implemented in it, and the way players will have a score system which will go up by doing tasks and be able to attack each other in order to take damage. The initial step that we took as a group was to come up with a name for our game, where everyone had an input and an idea of a name to suggest, and my suggestion, which was Space Jam, ended up being chosen. And we had a we had a Trello board created in order to assign tasks to everyone, and that was done on a group call in order to give everyone the chance to have an input on what tasks they got and what they had to do, and everyone talked about what they wanted to do. And for mine, under the player script, I ended up choosing to do three programming scripts, which was the health system, the score system, and the money and currency system at the time. In the modeling bit, I was meant to make modeling task stations, ship environments, and work with someone else in making the furniture modeling. And after that, I was also meant to make a game over screen or a results screen, which most of them have been completed, which is why they're under the completed name in the on the Trello board. As time went on, due to like time constraints and depending on what we could do at the time given, some of the tasks given were decided to be pushed to the side. Like the money and currency task, I was not done because there was no possible way of implementing it into the code where it will make sense. It would have just been a UI on the screen rather than being able someone else being able to do their part in making that script work, and there was no going to be use of money in the game based on the time constraints. And also in the modeling aspect of it, because of the time constraint, I think Finn just did some of the code and he had a modeling pack as well, so most of this was not ended up not being done. And for my health script in here, because my script, like for in terms of health, my script was tied into what Alexander was doing because he was given the task of UI. So in order to make my script, I had to also be in contact with him and like constant communication with him to see how he was going on his health bar, and that's how we were able. So to start with, I made this script in order to create like a base health script, and initially I had a slider for the health, but after talking, that was before I spoke to Alex, but after talking to Alex I realized it wasn't using a slider for the UI, so I had to change some, like get rid of some scripts that were in there. And for his script he decided to use images and animations for it, and the colors changing based on the health. So I just had to connect my script to his, and I just created the max and health value. And obviously he created most of the script, but I just added a couple lines where my script was being called, and then in the start function, in the start and the update function, the script, whenever my values change for current health in his script, the value will also change. And so instead of changing much in his script, I'm just updating a value in the script and it carrying on as it's meant to go. Also, for the score system, it was pretty much the same concept as the health system, where I created the basic code for it and added a UI for the player text. And so the person working on tasks, I already created the basic score system, and I was waiting on Finn to do the tasks in order for the score to go up. So all he had to do was add this bit, the line 29 of the code, and implement this in there in order to add the score after I created the script. And so this code is for the majority created by me, but Finn added a couple lines in there to make it work with his task script. And because I was given the task of creating the game over screen. I also had to create buttons on it and to work in different ways. This was the main menu script created by Xena, but using this on my main menu on my game over script, I had to add bit of line of code. Sorry, this bit of line of code in order to make my go back to main menu button work, because she was creating a main menu, she didn't need to have this code in there, so I added it because I needed it for my game over screen. So that's the only bit of code that was added into Xena's code by me. And in the game, when you start the game, pretty much like that's the health bar showing and the score's at the top. But I think there's been a bit of a glitch with the score, so when I do tasks, I think someone might have messed with the code, so when I do tasks it just goes, sorry, and someone must have played around with the code and must have, because now if a task is done, all of a sudden the score doesn't change, and obviously based on my script that shouldn't happen. And for the health bar, that I can't really show implements. Same for the health bar in the game over script, I can't really demonstrate it working because there's no game option there's no been implementation to make the health go down or the health go to 0 in order to show the game over screen. So that's what I have so far for now. Also, in order to get the project done, we as a group, we always had a code review call meeting like every week or every other week, in order to have our project being done. And also throughout the project, initially at the start, I felt like my communication with the team was pretty much little to non-existent, and I feel like if I had started with talking and asking everyone questions from the start, we could have achieved a lot more tasks and could have worked faster. Because a couple weeks later, I started talking more with the group and asking them questions and asking everyone what their job was and how it was linked to mine. And after doing that, like most of the tasks were getting done at a faster rate, and I felt like if I had done that, then it would have if I had done that earlier, I would have probably been able to get out a better game. And also another thing that I feel like I could work better on is my time management, because trying to fit all the modules that I had courseworks on, I didn't do that properly. So at the end of the day, I just ended up trying to do too much too late, and I feel like that's another thing I could get better at in terms of time management in working on a project. And one thing I feel like I did well in was working and not holding other team members back in like if they needed my code, I always make sure it was done within a specific time frame, so they can carry on with what they want to do as well. So I feel like that is one way I was good with it. And another thing I think we could have done better at is creating realistic tasks, because looking at the Trello board now, there were so many tasks that were put on there that I feel like even if we were operating at an optimum level, we might not have been able to accomplish because of how in-depth and rigorous it would have been to get it done within that time. And and that's what I was able to come up with throughout, and that's my code and my part of the coursework done.